Hello, and welcome to another Gaming and Talking. I haven't done one of these in a while, or anything for that matter, and we'll get into why momentarily. There's a lot to talk about. You'll be surprised. There's a lot to update about, and well, one thing you'll notice first of all, usually I'm gaming and talking. You know what I mean? I'm playing the games, and I'm talking, but I'm not this time, and it's because I'm in a dorm now, and so I don't have my computer, and my laptop doesn't actually have enough ports for me to record audio as well as have my headphones, keyboard, and mouse. And I mean, technically I could like get rid of the headphones probably, but again, I'm in a dorm and I don't really want to bother anyone, which is also why I'm sort of whispering. Right now it's 3 in the morning. I have no idea when else I can record this without bothering anyone. And that's mainly why I haven't recorded anything. So yeah, I couldn't record audio for the actual gaming part, so I'm just kind of doing it in post. So let's first talk about DRG, because I mean that's the game right now. There was a big Season 5 update, and you know, it's good. At least we're not in Season 4 anymore. I can't complain about that. Let's just talk about the new overclocks, for example. They seem cool, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I haven't looked into whether or not they're good yet, and I've only tried one, and that's you're seeing right now probably. That's the burst fire one for the scout. And I mean, in theory, it's probably good. I don't know. It's hard to tell. You'll notice this is right now like the first time I'm playing DRG in like a month or something like that, and that's because if you'll notice, the quality of my game is really bad, and it's like the frame rate's low, and like my setup right now is atrocious for like an FPS game. It's like where my mouse is, if I move like too far to the right, I just hit my laptop. So what you'll notice maybe in some of the gameplay is that like I turn and then I like move weirdly upwards, and that's just me hitting my laptop. So I can't exactly do shooters here. Okay, so here's the setup. We've got monitor that this is as low as it goes, doesn't fit under here, so it limits my space. Laptop right here, keyboard. It's because the monitor doesn't fit, my keyboard has to be angled so that I'm looking straight at it. The chair, it doesn't fucking fit. This is my sister's chair that I borrowed, so I have to sit at this angle with this piece of garbage in my like stomach, so I have to sit far back. This is my mouse space right here, so if I move like 3 inches, I just hit the laptop. It's so fucking bad, but I mean, it's something, whatever. I'm not gonna complain. The biggest issue is that my elbow is just hanging in the air. I've got like a kettle and a bunch of fucking whatevers. So I haven't played DRG. Like, it runs bad. I can't really do an FPS here. Whatever. I mean, the amount of mods I have probably isn't helping either. But once you mod up a game, you're not gonna go back. It's whatever. It's not important. I've just been playing other stuff, mostly Slay the Spire, grinding. It's such a good game, man. I love it. It's fantastic. Other than that, what I've realized here is that I just have a lot of time on my hands, which is perfect for something like Terraria. Terraria, I can go on like, it's the only game where I can go on like 12-hour binges, and it's why I generally don't play Terraria anymore at home, because, you know, I start a game and it's like, fuck, I've ruined everything for the day. But here, I mean, it doesn't matter. So it's like, I've played something like 60 hours in the past 2 weeks of just Terraria. Terraria, it doesn't fucking matter. I used to call it Terraria when I didn't know how to read. and that is... what was that? I first started playing around the release of 1.1, and to calculate back to whenever that was, I'm 21 now. Do with that what you will. I called it Terraria back then. God, what the fuck am I talking about? Yeah, okay, so I played a ton of Terraria. I've never really committed myself to a Master Mode playthrough, so I finished 2 of those already. I did a Ranger one, because I wasn't sure how Master Mode would go with Ranger. It's fine, whatever. There were only a couple of annoying parts, and then I went with Melee, and with Melee, Melee is pretty easy. Like, the ranking goes Ranger, Melee, Mage, Summoner, for, like, the major classes. I'm not including, like, Thrower, Yo-Yo, whatever. The only challenge of Melee is, like, Pre-Max. Other than that, smooth ride. So yeah, I had a great time with that, but then I realized I can't just play Terraria and nothing else. I have, like, 200 unplayed Steam games. So right now, I'm also grinding in Barotrauma, which is another game where it's like, you sit down and you do, like, I don't know, like 3-4 missions, and it's like, oh good, an hour and a half has passed, I have achieved nothing. So that's another good game that I'm playing. But mostly it's Slay the Spire. Oh, hold on. I tried to use my mouse that I unplugged for the sake of my headphones. Let me see how much I have played, if Steam will show me. Yeah, I've done 21 hours of just Slay the Spire, and it's like a card game. Whatever. It's a good game though. So where was I at? I didn't explain why I was in a dorm. I'll get to that afterwards. Let's just talk about DRG, for example, right now. So, overclocks, I've only really tried one of them. I think in theory, the burst fire is really good, but who knows? My FPS gaming abilities right now are garbage, so I haven't tried. I can't, like, max it out. And so, they're probably fine. I think, I saw a clip of the flamethrower one, just, like, annihilating, nemesis. So, but I think it's probably bugged. Who knows? Anyway, let's talk about the difficulties. More difficulties, cool. I don't think they're good. I have yet to unlock any of them, so this is like just based off of the numbers I see on the wiki. But it doesn't seem great to me. Like, there's 4 new, like, things you can add to Hazard 5. First one is aggressive enemies, which just, like, makes enemies scarier, I guess. And there's 2 levels. The thing is, I'm looking at, I'm looking at level 2 right now. I know that you can have, like, level 1 and you can have level 2. I'm only looking at level 2 right now. And, I mean, these are... I mean, the projectile speed buff is whatever. Projectiles aren't that fast in DRG until you get up to, like, 2.0 or whatever for the modifier. You can dodge pretty easily. The attack speed being doubled, though, that's crazy. And the movement speed being like a 32% buff. At least, again, I haven't played it. I'm only looking at it from the wiki. It seems really overtuned, but it's like the difference between levels 0, level 1, and level 2 is just like these big jumps. It's kind of choppy. Which is like, I don't know. I guess it's harder. I guess. Whatever. The more enemies one seems completely useless, to be honest. Even at level 2, it's only 50% more enemies, plus 1 special, plus 2 disruptives, and 15% more veterans. Which is like, who cares? That's nothing. I think the vanilla cap is 60, so 50% more is like 90 enemies max. That's like, what? Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Plus 1 special doesn't matter. Plus 2 disruptives doesn't matter. 15% more veterans, I guess, is really annoying for pressers.
but for everything else, it just doesn't matter. So that one just doesn't seem like it does anything. Player vulnerability, though, seems terrible. Like, the first level, unimportant. The second level, what the fuck? First off, you take double damage from enemies, and you take more than double damage from friendly fire? That's ridiculous. Why would you buff? Why would you make friendly fire, first off, do more damage, and second off, do that much more damage? That's an insane jump. And it's like, I mean, again, I haven't tried it, but it's like you skim someone with a bullet and there goes half their health bar. What the fuck is that? That's terrible. And also you take 50% more damage from the environment. Okay. I guess if you trip and fall or something, that's bad. This one just seems bad to me, basically. The last one is tough enemies, which also just seems bad. Because just increasing enemy health is really, really boring. Like, it's, and I mean, I get it, it's tough enemies, that's the point, they're gonna make them harder. But it's such a lame buff. It's 75% more health for large and extra large enemies, and 33% more health for normal enemies. And what that translates to is like, so extra large I think is like, just bosses and like some random stuff, like a Corlock and an Omen, I think. And then large enemies are like, well, large enemies, it's like goo bombers, Praetorians, that stuff. First off, yes, they're supposed to be tanky, they're big enemies, but it's a horde shooter. You buffing health by like almost a factor of 2, it doesn't make it fun. It's like release one down. What are you gonna fucking do about it? It's like, okay, they have a 512 or 5, was it 500? Whatever, unimportant. Basically, release one down had ridiculously tanky enemies compared to Deathwish at the time. And it was so bad that they increased the headshot multiplier from 2 to 3 in like the next update. Because it was unplayable. You could only play with like certain weapons. And I haven't played it here. And I'm sure you could still play other weapons, it'll work out fine. People were still pretty bad at the game in the old one down days. But I mean, in DRG, why would you increase the health? I don't know, it's bad. I don't really like these modifiers. If you do, that's great. I don't care. I'm still gonna play custom difficulties because they're more interesting and you can do so much more with them. Whatever, who cares, it doesn't matter. There's more secondaries, that's cool. I haven't played all of them yet, so I don't know. And of course there's the new mission, which you're seeing now. And you're probably seeing me stumble around as a scout in the cave, because I initially went in with scout, not knowing anything about the map, or about the mission type. So I went in, and I figured, hey, I'll just want light. So that's why I went scout. And I bumbled around for, I don't know, it's like 15 minutes or something. And I couldn't really figure out what the hell was happening. But I deduced that, like, what I needed to find was in the wall. So I switched to driller. And I mean, I bumbled around with that as well, until I genuinely had no idea what I was doing wrong. And so then I pulled up Waste's video, because I know he uploaded one today about the update. Waste the DRG man, I mean, he's gotta. So I looked at that, and he said that it's like an elevation thing, the little symbol next to it, which I didn't get that, but I guess it makes sense now. And so the point of the mission is that you, like, have to find these things embedded in the walls or whatever, and then you have to scan them. And then you take the drill-evator, and it's bad. The mission is bad. I don't know if it's worse than Dreadnoughts yet. I haven't played it I haven't finished it more than once. But my problem with it is that, first off, the caves are obnoxious. Like, why? They're enormous and they're windy. And I played on, like, the small version. I didn't play the long version. And my big problem is that the whole map, you're just looking at this little piece of garbage on the side of your screen, walking around until it looks like better. It's just such a bad mechanic. I hate, like, anything where to, like, orient myself, I have to not look at the game. I have to look at, like, some random garbage. And I don't like giving Sabotage credit, because I still don't really like Industrial Sabotage. But what it does, where you have to find, like, the power supply things by following the power cords, is really, really good. Like, it leads you there, and what I think is Industrial Sabotage should have this, like, windy path from this deep scan mission, because then it would be like you actually have to, you know, follow the path, as opposed to where Industrial Sabotage now, it's like there's one path. Sometimes it splits into two, but they both go to the same room anyway. So that's really annoying. And then when you find the things, you have to dig into the wall. And it's not super obvious where it is, at least to me yet. I haven't played too much of it. So it's like, bring a driller to throw a bunch of C4 around, or like, fucking start mining, buddy. It's over for you. It's bad. I don't like it. The Drill-evator is okay, I guess. I mean, it's not super engaging. I don't know what I can say about it. It's certainly better than the beginning stumble around while looking at the corner of your screen part of the map. I just hate it. And then the escape sequence is kind of lame, because you have to wait for Molly to climb up that, like, 100-something meter path. I think it's a really bad mission, but maybe that's just me. Maybe it needs to grow on me. I don't know, whatever. Let's talk about the new warnings. Neither of which I've played, so I'm just going off of what it's called. So you've got Duck and Cover, which is just, like, more shooty stuff, I guess. Cool. It seems like maybe an upgraded Mactera Plague. I haven't played it. I don't know. I can't say for sure, but I don't imagine it'll be much. Ebonite Outbreak sounds bad, but I'm not 100% sure how it works. I don't know if it's, like, a lot of Ebonites, or if they just kind of appear sometimes. But I know that the mule, like, shoots out, what's it called? Like, the power swing givers. So, based off personal experience, it's bad to just add the melee-only garbage. I did try it in one of my test custom difficulties when I was figuring out how to do that. It was just bad. It wasn't fun. It's like you're shooting and then you have to melee. Meleeing kills your move speed. It ruins the flow of everything. Whatever. But if you have those, like, charge slam things, it could be good. It could honestly even be, like, a buff, depending on how it works, because having more power swings is insane. You could, like, sometimes I just take Berserker, well, specifically only on Scout. Sometimes I take Berserker just for, like, getting through dirt, or, like, just for killing an oppressor, and I think that's worth it. So if you just have, like, free infinite power attacks throughout the entire map, I mean, that's crazy. You could just, like, melee only through it. But again, haven't played it, don't know, whatever. There's also two anomalies. The first one adds another secondary. Water break. The first one adds another secondary, which, I mean, I guess it's cool for vanilla players, but you'll notice I've got 3 secondary missions. I'm indifferent, I don't care. And then there's Blood Sugar, which, like, saps your health over time, but enemies drop sugar, which would be very, very easy on like custom difficulties where you have a lot of enemies. But the game isn't balanced around custom difficulties, so whatever. I'm sure it's kind of cool. I don't know. There's also new enemies, and there's first the Stalker, which was around actually, and it's like in the files. It was in the files. Well, it was in the files, then it wasn't in the files, and now it is in the files. But it was being used in like a couple custom difficulties, and Stalkers, I mean, are pretty cool. I don't have too much experience with them, but I like their idea, so I'll wait to see them actually in-game. I'll have to get used to that. I've only played maybe like 4 or 5 games with Stalkers in them before. There's a new like Bramble whatever. I didn't write the full name on my little text document here, so I don't know. I don't know what it is. I looked at the wiki and it wasn't like very descriptive, but I think just no one wrote it yet, so I don't have anything to say about that. But then there's this like Infector, which looks like a shotgun spitter. I haven't encountered it, so I don't know. Maybe it's cool. I did see a clip of its shots being changed to Fat Boy, which was pretty funny. I'm sure that's going to be used and abused in custom difficulties. And then the last one are these core spawn crawlers. I don't like them. They don't fit the game. I really like cohesion. Things need to fit in with everything. And these crawlers just, I don't know, they don't. Maybe it's partially a problem from me having the low poly stuff, and I think the core spawn crawlers are just not in there yet, so they maybe look weirder. But even just based off of what I remember, they don't fit. And I get the point. They're not supposed to fit. They're like, ooh, they're coming for another world, which is like an ad for Ghost Ship's next game. I don't like them. And my first experience with them was in this mission where I randomly stumbled across this little piece of garbage, and this is what I thought was one of the mission objectives, but it wasn't. I think it's probably similar to a core lock where it like randomly spawns and then you do the event. I wasn't prepared for this at all. I thought it was the objective, which is why I had like no nitra and no prep, and the terrain was terrible, and I got fucking annihilated here, as you probably see in the footage right now. So that was bad. But I don't know, do they only spawn that mission type? I don't know enough about them to say. I just don't like their design so far. The last thing I have written here is that there's a new Hearthstone phase. Again, I haven't played it, but I do like the idea of a new Hearthstone phase because it's always the same 4. It's kind of lame. I would like more than just one new Hearthstone phase. I would have liked like maybe 3 or 4, so it's actually random every time. And I think this one only replaces the rock phase anyway. So it's like, you still only have 2 options, and for the most part, it's still going to be identical. I don't know, whatever. It's not that big a deal. I think it's that important anyway. I haven't seen much of it. I don't like the idea of it grabbing you. I don't know how it'll work in solo. Because if it grabs you and like you need someone else to free you, bad. Who cares? So that'll conclude my my DRG talk. Let's talk about what I've been doing. I tried to fucking use the mouse again. I have to use my touchpad. Ugh. So let's talk about where I am, what I'm doing. Right now, I am at Purdue, which if you're at least American, I'm sure you've heard of. Purdue is like a very, very well-known university. It's not my regular university. I'm here on like a special physics research program. I mean, I'm surprised that I got in, because first off, I applied late, and I was like one of 300 something applicants, and they only accepted 12. So I somehow broke into that 4% while being late, and I also made my application like kind of not serious at all. It was, it's like you have to fill out a bunch of stuff about, like, research experience, like, general physics experience, because it's a physics research program. So you fill it out, and it's, like, awards. And I wrote none, and then parentheses, yet. So it's like, I didn't take it seriously at all. Somehow I got in, who knows? Who knows how that happened? So I moved in late May. And... well, let's talk about my physics research so far. On the first day, all of the people from this program, by the way, if you're going into like a science or anything, look for this thing called like an REU, which is Research Experience for Undergraduates. It's like, apparently, I'm told, it's really good if you want to go to grad school to have this like thing that you did in REU, which is why I'm doing it, because I do plan to go to grad school for physics. And so, there I am, sitting there with the other students on the first day, and it's like, all of our PIs are supposed to come pick us up, and they're gonna, like, explain the project and whatever. And it's just me left. It's me and this other guy, and we're both working in the same lab. And what we're working on is generation of squeezed light using 4-wave mixing. And what that means is, it's a pretty cool idea where you have an uncertainty principle, but specifically for the amplitude and the phase of light. So suppose you have like an uncertainty principle just for general stuff, and it's like the probably the most well-known one is position and momentum. You can either like know a particle's position, or you can know its momentum, but you can't really know both of them at the same time. Or like if you do, they're both gonna have like error on them. So what squeezed light is that you are sort of getting more accuracy in either the amplitude or in the phase, and getting less accuracy in the other one. So it's an uncertainty principle for light, which is really cool. But, as it turns out, that's not actually the project I'm working on. I'm working on, like, ultra-cold physics, which is also cool, but it's not the same. And when I got the email telling me, like, what project I was working on, I went to my physics advisor, and I was like, hey, could you explain to me, like, a little bit about what this is? And he did, and then he also gave me, like, a graduate textbook on quantum optics, which is, I was very thankful for that. But now that's, like, not even the project I'm working on, and I feel bad about it. But I did read it, or at least I read the squeezed light portion. It's, like, 400 pages, so I only read, like, the 80 pages on squeezed light. Yeah, anyway, so I'm waiting there, and I'm the last guy to get picked up, along with the other person in my lab. And unlike everyone else who got picked up by their PI, we got picked up by a graduate student who didn't realize he was supposed to pick us up today. And so he brings us into the lab, and he explains sort of like the gist of the two projects, because there's two projects going on in this lab that has to do with like cold physics. The first one is like trapping individual atoms on a waveguide, and then you can, since you have a single atom, you can interact with it with a single photon. And then the second experiment is creating like Bose-Einstein condensates, which maybe you've heard. I think it's called like the God particle or whatever. That's not what it is. It's cool though. It's not like super special. Well, it is special, but whatever, unimportant. Basically, when you cool things, specifically particles, they begin to act together like a big blob, which makes a lot of stuff easier. It's like you have a bunch of particles and you want to know how they all behave. When you cool them down, all of a sudden they form this Bose-Einstein condensate, and all of a sudden they just act like one, which is cool for various things. I don't know what they're fucking cool for. I only know the thing itself. So I ended up getting assigned to the waveguide one, but that's skipping a couple steps. So we got picked up, we got this project explained, and then we just kind of went and then we sat in the lab. First off, this lab's a complete fucking mess. There's garbage everywhere. I thought the lab at my college was bad. This one is so much worse, and so cramped. I'll probably put up a video on screen, I don't know.
I want to give a tour of the lab. So here is a cable hell. Good stuff, right? Good stuff. I don't even know what's in there. I haven't looked. Here's my amazing setup. There's no chair. Well, there's that one. Oh, this is a step ladder that I am using as a table. I had to get this little piece of shit down from here. And there's, of course, more cables. There's another one over there of the exact same setup. As for what's inside, just a lot. Just a lot. And I thought maybe this cable I was using didn't work. So I went to look around. And I conveniently saw, oh look, it's labeled cables. So that was messy. And then only like 3 hours into the day, I first saw my PI. I don't know where the fuck he was. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. But now he's like here. We talked to him for like a little bit. But since me and the other guy thought we were coming in for squeezed light, we don't really know anything about like cold physics. So he asked us like which projects we want to go to or work on, since there's two and there's two of us. And it's like, well, we don't really know. So he just assigned them to us. So that's how I got my project. And generally when you go into a research project, at least for physics, I don't know how it is for other fields, it's like the first thing you do is you read up a bunch of papers about the topic. And so the graduate students in my lab, one of them emailed me like 3 papers. And the first sign that maybe something was wrong is that none of these papers had to do with physics. Well, they did, but it was just about like controlling lasers. And you know, I read about it, whatever. It was not that exciting. Then I sat around. And then the next day, I sat around, went home, whatever, who cares. The next day, I show up at 9, because, you know, 9 to 5 workday, woohoo! I show up there at 9, and no one's in the lab. Fuck, I don't know what's happening. So I send an email, and then I keep sitting around, and as it turns out, the graduate students in my lab only show up at 11, and they work like 11 to 8, rather than 9 to 5. Which, first off, more than an 8-hour workday. But whatever. They're graduate students, they do whatever they want, they know the project. So I'm like, I wonder if that can be heard. Someone's driving real loud outside. So I'm just like, okay, I guess I'll sit around for another hour, because it was 10 at this point. And so I wait around again, and the graduate students comes in, and I'm like, so I read the papers, is there anything you'd like me to do? And he's like, I don't have anything for you today. And so I sat there just for a couple more hours, and then I left, because there was literally nothing for me to do. Which, okay, whatever. I've been talking to, like, some of my friends who've done research, and they're like, oh yeah, I mean, there's not much to do in the first week, you know, you still have to get familiar with the idea. So I was like, okay, whatever, it's fine. I read the papers. I hope I retained some of the information. And that was, I think, Wednesday. So on Thursday, actually I have notes on my phone of what I did. I've been keeping like a diary, I guess you can say. Okay, right, so on Thursday, well, first off, I sat around again, but then my graduate student was like, okay, here's an Arduino, figure out how to make it work. And I was just troubleshooting this little piece of garbage that... This Arduino is the source of all of my misery for, like, the next couple days.
basically I fucked around with this Arduino until something happened, which, spoiler alert, was not for a while. I couldn't get anything to work, and it's like, I connect it to my laptop and it doesn't recognize it. It's like I download every driver that exists on the internet. It's like it still doesn't recognize it. I check the ports, nothing's wrong. I go through, I look for different cables that I can use to connect it. It's a complete disaster. But whatever, I do that, I go home. Friday. Friday, there was apparently a meeting for this, like, RU program, where all of the students were supposed to come in and, like, check in, and it's like, hey, we know what our project is happening, we know what's all going on. It was at 10, but since my grad students start at 11, I showed up at 11, and I didn't even realize that I missed it. So I sent an email to, like, the director of the program, and he just didn't email me back. I don't know what the fuck's up with that. So the next, that day, I kept trying to get this Arduino to work. Nothing was working. I talked to the professor again for maybe 10 minutes, and he's like, you should learn programming, because the Arduino needs programming anyway. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I've been doing my best my entire life to avoid having to do any programming, and here it is. My one job right now is to program. It's such a shame. Anyway, I go through like a C++ course, and I go home. The next week starts, and all of the graduate students in my lab and the professor have gone to Chicago for a conference. Which is funny, because I came from Chicago here, and now they've left there. So I'm alone in the lab for a week. And all I've been left with is this piece of shit fucking Arduino. And the professor is also like, hey, you should send me an email about progress report by Thursday. I'm like, okay, cool. All I need to do is get this Arduino to work. It doesn't fucking work. And I'm like, I send an email to the grad student, and he like sends me back, and it's a forum, and it's like, hey, you should try this. And it's like, the fucking solutions I've already tried. But I mean, I can't blame him. Like, he doesn't know what I've tried. I don't know what the fuck's gonna work. I go through everything again, nothing works, everything's terrible. A Tuesday goes basically the same, so does Wednesday, so does Thursday. Friday, I don't even come in, because it doesn't fucking matter. You know, I could come in and dick around with this little piece of garbage again for like 6 hours and get nothing out of it, so I quit. I just went home. And yeah, I say this like I've been working with the Arduino the whole time. This is just like, I work with the Arduino, I give up, I do C++. I'm tired of C++, I fuck around with the Arduino. And it's like, you do this garbage cycle and nothing ever happens and nothing ever works. Whatever. But during this time, the cool thing about the Purdue RU program is it offers like, just like random opportunities. Like there was a machine shop tutorial that I could sign up for. And I signed up for that because, like, fuck, I've got nothing to do this week. So I signed up for this, like, machine shop guide, and I made this, like, I'll have a picture of it. It's, like, essentially just, all it does is, it's a paperweight. Like, I can't do anything with this. But I used a lathe for the first time. That was pretty cool. I used a mill for the first time. That was pretty cool. So technically, I'm now machine shop certified. Not that I'm going to use it. I just thought it was something cool to do that I could kill time with. Ugh. Other than that, there's like seminars every week on Wednesdays where it's like a different researcher in physics comes in and like explains their field. In the first week, we had a like quantum computing guy come in and explain to us just some stuff about that. I'm gonna be honest, I was fucking falling asleep the whole time. I don't care about computers, which is why I've tried to avoid coding as much as I can. So this whole quantum computer thing, it's like, yeah, it's physics, but it's more computer than physics, so I didn't really care. The next week was this guy talking about, like, imaging, it was like imaging chromosomes, and because they're, like, very small, and like wiggle around and whatever. It's like hard to do. That was pretty interesting. This week we had like a science, like an earth science guy come in, talk about like the physics of hurricanes, and show like these different simulations and these different models of like what things you could change. We talked about like heat engines. It's pretty cool. You know, I'm not gonna complain. This is like what I like. It's physics. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's how that week went. I did nothing for the first 2 weeks, except learn C++, hilariously. And that's essentially what I emailed my professor. It's like, I learned C++ this week because nothing else worked. Ugh, it was bad. This week, the grad students came back, and I started working with them again. And I don't know what the fuck they did, but somehow the Arduino worked. And I even asked the guy, I'm like, so what did you do differently? And he's like, I don't know. So now it's just working all of a sudden. And I connected it up to my computer. And now I just need to program it, right? No, wrong. The program is written. I just need to find it somewhere in the drive from one of the grad students. So I'm hunting through this drive, looking for like stuff that matches the pins on the Arduino. And eventually I find it, whatever. It's fine. I'm going through it, I paste it in, I upload it. I don't know how to make sure it works. And so I'm lost in everything. And so I go to the grad student that wrote it, and I'm like, hey, I have some questions. And I go through the questions, and he's like, oh, you should check out this library called PID for the Arduinos. And he's like, just look up PID. And I look up PID, and it's like, I don't remember what it is, but it's like a fallopian tube disease or something. So that was funny. I pulled that up directly in front of him. Is he like, no, type PID Arduino. And so I did that, and it brings up like this library, and it's basically about controlling stuff based on it's like a weird way of controlling things where you have an input, what you want the input to be, and it's like what you're changing it with, as opposed to changing it based on output. It's funky, but I read through that. I'm going through all of the code. I feel like a programmer. I don't feel like a physicist. This is tragic. And I've talked to some of the other people in the program, and they're like, well, some of them are doing like a lot of programming stuff. Others aren't. Ugh. It's draining, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm just getting paid. Oh yeah, RU programs are paid, by the way. I feel like I'm getting paid to do fucking nothing. But whatever, I'm getting paid. I don't know, I don't care. So that's what I've been doing for the past month about. I've been entertaining myself, I guess. I mean, obviously, other than playing a lot of games. I've been I've been reading a lot. I brought a book with me here. Actually, an acquaintance of mine is writing a book, and they asked me to proofread a draft, so I went through that. And then I brought like an actual book that I'm going through now. It's pretty good. And then I've also watched a couple movies, watched some anime. Delicious in Dungeon, anime of the year. I already know. That's the thing. I already know it's going to be anime of the year. Nothing's going to top it. Other than that, I've been getting social. I went to the gym. Purdue has a gym, and it's famous for being a huge thing. I say gym. It's a co-rec. It's got everything in it. It's got courts. It's got tracks. It's got fields. It's got multiple pools, which is insane to me. It's got lots of gym equipment. It has a rock wall. And I also saw on the map that it has a combat sports area. And I was like, sick! I've been doing MMA since I was 5. So I might as well check this out, right? But it's blocked. I can't go in there. The hallway is closed off. And as I'm leaving this gym, I run into someone I went to school with in middle school. I've never seen them in high school. I don't know if we even went to the same high school together, but we went to the same middle school together. And first off, bro is huge. He's jacked now, so that's funny. But because I stumbled into him, he invited me to this like Purdue pickup activities thing. It's a Discord server that you can just like match for stuff. And I've joined pickup soccer and like board game night. So both of those have been cool. One thing that I realized since I haven't played soccer since COVID started is how fucking exhausting that is. I used to play offense, but this time I was like, hey, I don't know how well I'm gonna fucking do. I'll pick mid, so that I can sort of, you know, help a little bit with the pushes, mostly just waiting back in case I'm needed. I was fucking dead by the end of the game. So the second game, and we played 2 games back to back. The second game, I played just defense. It was like, oh, I was so drained. And I've been going to the co-rec to work out. And then after that soccer day, I was like, just completely shifted. I'm only doing cardio now. Because I realized my cardio is not good enough. So yeah, other than that, the board game club is cool. It's not a club, but board games, whatever. Board games are cool. I mean, it sort of just depends on what people bring on that given day. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, whatever. I've been going out with, like, other people from the RU program, just, like, get lunch or something. It's fine. I've been having fun. But as for dorm life itself, kind of shit, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know why anyone would want to live in a dorm. I don't think anyone does. It's just like it's cheap. It's what you do. And it's not like I'm having a terrible experience or anything. My roommate's fine. We don't talk much. We sort of stay out of each other's ways. He's not in the room right now, actually, because he's from Indiana. So he just kind of drives home on the weekends. So I have the ability to record right now. I wouldn't be fucking recording this at 3:30 in the morning if he was in his bed like 5 feet away. But, you know, the room's small, the setup is garbage. I'm on the 7th floor, so I have to, like, go so far to the kitchen. And I have so much, like, since I'm cooking myself here, we get, like, money for food daily, but it's not much, it's $25 a day. Which is, I mean, it's good. But if you eat out every day, like, it's fucked. So I'm not eating out at all, basically. Aside from, like, social activities where I go out with everyone. But mostly I'm just cooking myself. And I have to go all the way down. And it's like, oh, I forgot an egg. So I have to go back up. And I have to get the egg from my fridge. And I have to go back down. And because I've developed, like, motion sickness, I guess you could say, somewhat recently. In the past couple years, and this elevator up and down is giving me motion sickness. And it's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here, man? The bathrooms are also weird. Not like the bathrooms themselves, but it's like when I'm showering, it's like people just come in and out of the bathroom, and every time they flush, it's like, great, now I'm being boiled alive. And so I'm just like dancing in and out of this water. Whatever. At the end of the day, I think a bad experience is still an experience, and that's worth it. I'm also getting paid, and it's not like I'm alone. Like, I call my family, and next week I'm gonna take a bus home, because I have a ceremony to attend. And the week after that, I have to go to, like, a family reunion in Michigan. Yeah, I mean, it's alright. I guess I should talk about a main channel video. I'm working on it. I mean, it's hard. Yeah, duh. I'm working on it. But the thing is, like, it's not that I didn't put effort into my payday stuff, but now that I'm, like, free from a schedule and I can do whatever I want, really, like, I have this vision in my head of what I want this video to be. But it's like, I've always said this, I'm not good at editing, but I am good enough to be able to do whatever I want in an extremely inefficient way. So I have this image in my head of how I want this video to be, but fuck, I can't make it work, and it's just taking so long. But this video is about math. And it's not like, whoa, how to do math. It's like, it's a video about math through the context of Payday, basically, and I go through a bunch of different topics, and I think it's a really good video. I really like it, and I want it to be like my best effort, which is partially why it's taking so long, and also partially because I'm just bad at fucking editing. But yeah, I'm working on it. Who knows? I mean, initially I was like, ooh, whoop-de-doo. I finished my anime video, and now I'm gonna start working on the next one. I'll probably have it out by February. And then I realized, oh, never mind. I took just way too much classwork this semester, so I couldn't finish anything. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, maybe I'll have it done by March, because March I have my spring break, so I'll put in the work there. That wasn't enough, and I was like, okay, April? And then April ended, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have like 2 weeks after my classes end in May and this program begins, so I'll maybe get it out by May. And it's like, no, May is over. And so now I don't even want to say like, oh, I'm gonna have it out by the end of June, because fuck, at this point it might be out by like December. I don't fucking know. The video will be done when it's done. I don't have anything to say. Payday 3 updates, I don't fucking know. I don't pay attention anymore. Payday 3, it's done. Starbreeze, it's done. At this point, I think they should just fucking pull the plug on Payday 3 early, and whatever happens to the reputation, I think is better than whatever the fuck they're gonna do with the game. I've lost all hope, I've lost all faith, and frankly, I just don't care anymore. I've moved on. Payday, I mean, it was a big part of my history. It just doesn't matter to me anymore now. Which is a shame, but it is what it is. I have like 100 other games on Steam that I have to get to anyway. I've been recording for way too long. I've got to stop this. Actually, the internet speed here is fucking amazing. But that's kind of expected. College internet speeds are great. I have like 100-something to upload and download, which is funny because at home my download is 20 and my upload is 4. So whenever I stream, it's like you have 2.5 pixels on the screen and it's at 10 FPS. Here I could stream crystal clear, beautifully, but my laptop isn't really good enough to run anything super well. So I'm not gonna do that, and my setup is also kind of garbage, and also I can't audio. It's a big whole mess. Whatever. I'll return to normalcy eventually. Whatever. That's been gaming and talking. Happy holidays. I don't fucking know. A Merry Christmas. What's next? 4th of July. What's the date? Okay, it's June 15th, but it's 3:40 in the morning. So really, it's like June 14th. Yeah, I think 4th of July is the only holiday I know coming up. Father's Day, I think, passed. Whatever. Okay, I don't know, man. Bye.